For our second period of prayer, we're going to contemplate John chapter 20, verses 11 to 16. This is the story of Jesus appearing to Mary Magdalene, and the invitation in particular is to hear the joy in her voice as she recognizes Jesus in the garden. Now, just a reminder that to pray a passage contemplatively, you would normally read it through several times first, until its details feel familiar, and then you would set the scene with your mind's eye and enter into it from one of the perspectives, experiencing it from that viewpoint. The idea is not to try and analyze what you're experiencing as you pray. Afterwards, though, it is helpful to reflect over what you did experience and to capture and journal any thoughts that seem to stand out with blessing or challenge. And you may wish to pray further about these or to come back to those insights at another time in prayer. However, what I want to do here is to offer a guided contemplation. And so what I'm going to do is read the passage through, and then I'll start again by gradually helping you to think about the passage. We'll work our way through it to set the scene from, you can decide which perspective you want to do it from, but we'll then work our way back through it. And I'll allow you some time as we do that. So there'll be some gaps of silence. So let's begin. John 20, verses 11 to 16. Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw two angels in white, seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head, the other at the foot. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" "Well, they've taken my Lord away," she said, "and I don't know where they've put him." At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there. But she did not realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for?" Thinking he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned towards him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. So let's begin by setting the scene. We know that Mary has gone to the garden in the early morning. So be aware of that early morning light and the early morning temperature. Reflect on the stillness and the quiet. Mary is alone. See her at the tomb. Experience or consider her sorrow. She looks into the tomb. What was her expectation as she did so? What do you think is her surprise when presented with two angels in white? Visualize those angels and the space of the tomb where Jesus should have been lying. Hear the angels speak. Woman, why are you crying? Mary responds, They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him. Experience or consider her distress, her confusion. Does she understand who she is looking at? Does she recognize these men as angels? Mary turns and sees a man standing behind her. She doesn't know who it is. She has angels before her and Jesus behind her. She is surrounded by the goodness of God, but does not yet know it. Jesus, unrecognized though he is, speaks to Mary. He asks her, Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for? Who is it you are looking for? We are told that Mary thought he was a gardener. Reflect for a moment on why that might be. He has spoken to her, but she does not recognize his voice. She does not recognize him to look at either. Hear Mary replying, Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him. How would Mary have managed Jesus if she'd been told where to get him? How great is her desire? How deep is her longing? And now hear Jesus as he says, Mary. This is the moment of recognition. This is the moment of joy. See it or feel it breaking over her as she responds, Rabboni! What is your name? Hear Jesus say your name today. What response does it call forth in you? Consider that question for a further period. And then let it guide you in your response.